the last Planning Commission meeting of 2022. I will be at the chair this evening and I want to welcome everyone. This meeting's held via web due to COVID. Members of the public may participate following instructions on the agenda. You also may view and listen to the meeting on cable television, the city's website, and YouTube. Following the roll call, summary of hearing procedures, we will review how the public may provide comment during today's session. Commissioner Lardenois.
Here.
Commissioner Alawalia. Commissioner Barroso.
Here.
Commissioner Cantrell.
Here.
Commissioner Casey.
Here.
Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Commissioner Ornelas Wise.
Here.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Rosario.
Here.
And Commissioner Alawalia.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. The procedure for this hearing is as follows. After the staff report, applicants and appellants may make a 5-minute presentation. City staff will call out names of the public who identified the items they want to speak on. You, the public, may identify yourself by the raised hand feature on tonight's meeting, or you may click *9 on your phone. Identify your name and what you'd like to speak on. As your name is called, staff will unmute you to speak. After we confirm your audio is working, your allotted time will begin. Each speaker will have up to 2 minutes. Speakers using a translator will have double the time. After the public testimony, the applicant and appellant may make closing remarks for an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. Response to the commissioner questions will not reduce the speaker's time allowance. Staff will unmute the speaker to respond to the commissioners. The public hearing will then be closed and the planning commission will take action on the item. The planning commission may request staff to respond to the public testimony, ask staff questions, and discuss the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence prior to the meeting. The Planning Commission's actions on rezonings, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearings on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides procedures for legal protests to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's actions on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. So on the call to order, item 1, want to remind everyone that we have a code of conduct and that everyone will be respectful. And if people get out of line and disturb the meeting, then they may be removed from the meeting. Prior to public comment, I do want to point out that we are joined by Senior City Attorney Daniel Zazueta, who will be permanently staffing the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Zazueta. I introduced myself back when I first joined the city. I joined in July, and I think I joined you on a meeting in September. But it's good to join you now. I come to you from the County of Santa Cruz, where I staff the Planning Commission. Happy to sit in this chair again and help you navigate through these wonderful planning agendas that we have. Happy to answer any questions, but I am new, so it may take me a little bit of time to get to the answer, but I'm here to answer any questions. So thank you very much, and I look forward to tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Daniel. Now we'll move to public comment. This is where members of the public may speak on items that are not on tonight's agenda. So this is a time, if you're from the public and you'd like to talk to an item that is not on the agenda, to raise your hand. I don't see any hands. Does staff see any hands raised?
Nope.
All right, then we will move on to item 3, deferrals and removals. We have none. Item 4, consent calendar. We have none. And then moving on to the public hearing, we have one.
Chair,
We need to vote on the consent calendar, Chair.
Oh, that's right. We have the minutes. My apologies. So with that said, is there a motion on the consent calendar to essentially approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
I second it.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Lardenois.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahluwalia,
Yes.
Commissioner Barroso,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Ornelas Wise,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. So with that, that is approved. If you
Mr.
want,
Chair, may I please confirm who seconded?
I think it was Ahluwalia, but I may be wrong.
No, I seconded it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so the vote is displayed. Now moving on to the one item on the agenda, which is a public hearing item, is called Burbank 44 annexation, C20-011 and ER 20-1146. And now we'll be handing off to staff.
Yes, let me share my screen first. Okay. So, good evening, Chair and Planning Commissioners. My name is Angela Wang. I'm the project manager with Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement for item 5A file numbers Burbank 44 and C20-011. Before you this evening is an annexation application to annex 5 parcels from Santa Clara County unincorporated territory to the city of San Jose, and to prezone these 5 parcels to the MUC mixed-use commercial zoning district. These 5 parcels are located on the northeast corner of West San Carlos Street and Brooklyn Avenue. Let me go to the next slide. The purpose of the annexation and pre-zoning is to facilitate the proposed mixed-use development planning file numbers CP20-020 and T20-016. CP20-20 is a conditional use permit to allow the demolition of all existing structures on site for the construction of a 7-story mixed-use development project consisting of a residential care facility for seniors, 61 multifamily residential units, and 6,000 square foot ground floor retail space with alternative parking design on the ground floor and in the basement on an approximately 1.23 gross acre site. T20-016 is a vesting tentative map to merge the existing 7 parcels into one lot for condominium purpose. So the boundary of the development permits and the annexation boundary are slightly different. So as you can see from the screen, the area within the red lines is the development permit area. And the gray area in this red line are those 5 parcels are going to be annexed to the city. These 2 development permits will be scheduled for a public hearing by Planning Commission again, if the City Council approves the annexation and after the Local Agency Formation Commission of Santa Clara County certifies the annexation. The project site is within the West San Carlos Urban Village Plan area and is designated MUC mixed-use commercial. The proposed zoning district is MUC mixed-use commercial. MUC zoning district is intended to implement the mixed-use commercial general plan land use designation. Therefore, it is the conforming zoning district to the MUC general plan land use designation. The review of the annexation includes the coordination with LAFCO, county surveyor, and the appropriate special districts. The annexation boundary has been reviewed and certified by the county surveyor. And the annexation will include the detachment from the appropriate districts, including the Central Fire Protection District, Santa Clara County Lighting Service area, and Santa Clara County Library Services. The project site would remain in the Burbank Sanitation District. And the community meeting for the 4 planning applications was held in December 2020. And as discussed in the staff report, the project is consistent with the general plan, zoning ordinance, and the applicable city council policy. And the city of San Jose, as the lead agency for the project, prepare an environmental impact report. Now I'm going to turn it over to the environmental project manager, Rimar, to briefly talk about the environmental review for the project.
Thank you, Angela. Rima Mahmood with PBCE. The environmental document for this project that covers all of the actions is an environmental impact report. The NOP, the Notice of Preparation, was published in December 2020. We had an EIR scoping meeting on December 17, 2020. The Notice of Availability of the draft EIR was published in July 15th, 2022. There was a 45-day public comment period. We received comments on the draft EIR from DTSC, PAC-SJ, Santa Clara County Roads and Airports, Valley Water, and 1 member of the public. The first amendment was published on December 2nd, 2022. Next slide, please. The significant impacts of the project that were identified in the draft EIR, most of them could be mitigated to below significance thresholds. There were construction air quality, potential damage to nesting birds during construction, and potential hazards from agricultural chemicals in the soil, construction noise and vibration, and project VMT. There was one significant impact that would exceed the significance threshold, even with the application of mitigation measures, and that was the demolition of historic resources that were eligible for listing on the city's historic resources inventory as candidate city landmarks. Next slide, please. There were several project alternatives that were considered. The location alternative, which was to find a different location for the project, and the preservation alternative 1, which was relocation and preservation of the historic resources on another site, were considered and rejected because we were not able to find another location that would either accommodate the project or accommodate the historic resources. The no project alternative was considered, and we considered 3 other preservation alternatives. The preservation of the historic resources on the project site itself, preservation of one of the one of the historic buildings on the site, and then the other alternative was preservation of the other historic building on the site. The preservation alternative 2, which was preservation of the historic resources on the site, was the alternative that would avoid the significant and unavoidable impact to cultural resources. Next slide, please. We received comments on the draft EIR, as I mentioned earlier, from several agencies. The key comments were regarding annexation of the roads, the management of potentially hazardous materials on the site, and clarifications to the hydrology and water quality existing setting section, and the protection and adaptive reuse of historic resources. These comments were addressed in the first amendment to the draft EIR. None of these comments raised any new significant issues that required the recirculation of the EIR. Back to you, Angela.
So, Rimar. So a quick summary of the staff's recommendation. So staff recommends the Planning Commission recommends City Council to certify the EIR and adopt a statement of overriding considerations and related mitigation monitoring and reporting plan. Approve an ordinance for pre-zoning and adopt a resolution initiating proceedings and scheduling the January 31st, 2023 for City Council consideration of the annexation. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And moving on, do we have an applicant here?
We do. Can we promote? Yeah, I think he raised a hand already.
Does the applicant need to share a presentation?
No, we believe that the staff has made a thorough presentation on the merits of the project. We believe that first of all, thank you, Honorable Chair and Planning Commissioners. The application is for the pre-zoning of the project and the necessary steps to go forward. It is not the project review, but simply the pre-zoning. The project itself does comply with the West San Carlos Urban Village Plan, and we're looking to simply just bring the property's zoning, or in this case, pre-zoning, in compliance with the West San Carlos Urban Village Plan and promote the annexation, which will facilitate the project to move forward at a future date when the project is scheduled to come before you again. I'm here to answer any questions. We certainly ask for your approval tonight, ask for staff recommendation, and to not take any further amount of your time. Happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? If so, now would be the time. We do have one. I see a Jaime.
Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Jaime Arteaga. I'm a field representative for the Northern California Carpenters Union, and I work out of Local 405 here in San Jose. The reason I'm calling in tonight is to inform you about a big problem that is happening in the property development industry. I believe that a lot of the construction workforce is being taken advantage of. There's a lot of reason why workers are taken advantage of. They don't speak the language, they're undocumented, or the fact that developers just don't care of the community, for the community. Irresponsible developers and contractors, I believe, don't care about maintaining a sustainable community. All they care about is making a quick buck. What happens with all we care about is profits, you start seeing a rise in poverty. San Jose's construction workers are not being paid area labor standards. The wages are below the average wages in the Bay Area. And they end up living in garages, renting spare bedrooms, and even living in their vehicles. Now imagine if they have a family, it compounds their suffering even more. I don't like to see the citizens of San Jose suffer when it can be avoided. All it takes is for the developers and contractors to start caring about the citizens of San Jose. We have tried to reach out to the developer to see where they stand with the area labor standard wages, and so far we have not had any response. Hopefully we can hear from them soon in the near future. All we want is opportunity to earn a fair and just livelihood. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Jaime. Are there any other members of the public raising their hand, wish to speak tonight? Now would be the time. Do not see any additional hands.
None,
Staff,
Mr. Chair.
confirm that. Okay, I guess that closes out public comment. Back to the applicant. You have upwards of 5 minutes, or you can defer.
Thank you. I just would ask for your, I'm not sure if I'm live or not, but I would ask for your support on the project's merits, which is consistent with San Jose's general plan, with the West San Carlos Urban Village plan, and consistent with city council policies and goals. Thank you, and here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
On to the commission. Are there any questions, comments from the commissioners? I see, who do I see first here as I scroll? La, la, la. Commissioner Rosario.
Oh, I just wanted to say that it seems like a great proposal, and I think that's a section of San Carlos that certainly needs some love. So thank you for bringing it up.
Great. Well, thank you, Commissioner Rosario. Commissioner Cantrell.
I'm just questioning what's the historic value of these historic properties that are there? Is there anything of note that's happened in those places? Is there, I'm sure, are they just old buildings? I don't know. What's the value of these properties?
I am a historic preservationist. I've done an enormous amount of historic preservation, and these buildings are simply old. They are not in any good condition whatsoever. No one of merit slept there, was born there, etc. But they are old, and therefore here we are.
If I
I technically qualify myself as historically significant because I'm over 50 years old.
Let's go to staff on this one.
Rima, did you want to address this, or did you want me to address it?
Oh, go ahead, Dana.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a significant impact in.
Dana, can you please introduce yourself?
Apologies. I'm Dana Peak, Historic Preservation Officer for the City of San Jose. There is a significant impact for cultural resources for the proposed demolition of 2 buildings. They're the middle 2 buildings. We had a difference in expert opinion where the historic consultant that was hired by the applicant did not find the buildings eligible for city landmark designation. However, the city disagreed and believed that according to the historic context and history of the buildings, that they were eligible for city landmark designation. Burbank is a very modest area. There were a lot of the homes, they're not fancy, they're not architecturally designed, but was a very vibrant neighborhood. These were all buildings that served that direct community. And they exhibit the development of the Burbank area in the interwar period. So that was the determination that the city made.
Commissioner Cantrell.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said, but I'm not really getting a sense of scale of value. Are these worth saving? I guess is what I'm trying to ask here.
Hang on a second. I think we go back to the historical preservation officer or staff for this question.
I think the thing with Antiques Row is that along that West San Carlos Street, there's very little left. And this is kind of what remains, exhibiting what I described about the historical development in that earlier period when it sort of transitioned from homes to commercial prior to World War II.
And then Commissioner Cantrell, if you have a question for the applicant, feel free to ask as well. But I just want to make sure your questions are getting answered.
Yeah, with all due respect, I think I understand and appreciate your perspective on that. So no problem. I think I have the answer I need. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Ornelas-Wise.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, I have a question to follow up with Commissioner Cantrell's question. I wanted to ask Dana if she's still available, or any city staff, really, and I think this is good for the rest of the commission. You all might have the same question. I have two specific questions. What makes something eligible for listing in the San Jose Historical Resources Inventory, and what makes something a candidate for city landmark Dana, did you hear those questions?
Yeah, so under the historic preservation ordinance, there are 8 specific criteria. Some of them overlap a little bit, but the general themes are historical development, which this falls under, people, or architecture. I think there's 2 or 3 that are about architecture and architectural types. So they're kind of broken up. There's probably a couple that cover each of those broader areas.
I have a question for Rima. I know you, in the slides, you mentioned that you explored some options for alternatives. And out of those alternatives, was any of them feasible?
Well,
I
all
can't
of
hear
they're feasible to the extent the applicant is able to do it, and it meets the city's project objectives, which is to intensify development in these areas, in the project area. In terms of keeping either one or both of those buildings that are eligible for listing, it would mean that the intensity of development on that property is going to be far less and may not be a feasible economic process for the applicant. Now, under CEQA, we don't consider economics when we develop the alternatives.
Commissioner Robert Manford, Deputy Director. Just wanted to let the commission know that the historic significance of the properties as described in the staff presentation does not in any way impact the overall merits of the project. We prepared an EIR for this project just because of the disagreement between experts. There were other considerations that made alternatives infeasible. They are not environmental. Only the city council can consider those other aspects when they are making a decision on the project. So I just wanted to make that clear. Otherwise, this project wouldn't have qualified for an EIR, but because there was the disagreement between experts.
Thank you. I do believe that it's really important for the city of San Jose to annex as many pockets or that are in the county unincorporated, because I think it will help develop and revitalize these areas and make them more modern. So I think it's a really good thing. I did really want to look at a map. I know, Angela, you brought up a map earlier, and I saw some orange and gray, and I just really wanted to see what were the city boundaries and what were the county boundaries. So it could be really clear if this is an annexation that's just like separated from everything, or is it like consistent with
yeah, if we could show that
urban
map
growth
up there. Part of the projects in San Jose already, and part of it's in the county, and it would be contiguous with San Jose.
Yeah, sure. So, planning commissioner, so all the gray area here are within the county right now. So these area with the color on the map, these are within the city. So this is just a portion of that area.
So everything I see in gray is county unincorporated, and everything in orange is city of San Jose. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then this would fill in the gap and make the
Right.
city contiguous. Okay. Those are all the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ornelas Wise. Any other questions for planning commissioners? Is there a motion on the floor for this item? Or would, that's kind of a question. Would someone be interested in making a motion on this item?
Make a motion that we approve the staff recommendations on the project.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Young,
I second it.
second from Commissioner Ornelas Wise. So there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments on the item prior to voting? Okay, we'll move on with the vote then. Commissioner Lardenois,
Yes.
Commissioner Alawalia,
Yes.
Commissioner Barroso.
Yes, but I wonder if we did public comment on this?
We did. We
Oh, we did?
asked for
Okay.
hands and no one raised their hands at that
Got
point.
it. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no sweat. Hey, what's that logo you got on? Is that one of the high schools?
Oh, yeah. It's one of the.
Comments. Okay, Commissioner Cantrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Casey,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Ornelas Wise,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosario,
Yes.
myself, yes, and we will display the vote. Okay, now we're moving on to item 6, referrals from city council boards and commissions. I see none.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, thank you. Item 7, good and welfare, report from the city council. Robert?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is a report from City Council from yesterday's council meeting. First is the settlement with County of Santa Clara related to North San Jose. The City Council approved that.
Great.
Second is on the land use, city initiated general plan text amendment to amend the Envision San Jose 2040 general plan that commercial space requirement no longer applies to affordable housing. That came through this commission, was approved. Also, city initiated general plan text amendment, amending text pursuant to Title 18 to require concurrent review and consideration of privately initiated general plan amendments applications with permit applications. That came through this commission, was also approved. And then plan development permit rezoning 500 PSC Road, it came through this commission, also approved. And we also have plan development rezoning for vesting tentative map located east side Camden Avenue in District 10, came through here, was approved as well. And a lot of city rezonings, pursuant to Senate Bill 1333. And lastly, Fountain Alley by West Bank was also approved. And there was an appeal to planning director decision-making on 35 South 2nd Street. That appeal was denied and the project was approved by City Council. That is it from yesterday.
Great, thank you so much. Item C, commission calendar. I believe staff last Wednesday sent out the most recent 2023 calendar for the commissioners, and I don't think there's been any changes since then. Item D, public record. Is this staff wants to do the update on this?
Yes, this is the guest run residence file number CP 17-010 stroke ER 20-205. And this is the guest run residence in Council District 10. It was previously Council District 2, came to you in June this year, and you required that the applicant comes back after several studies, biological studies and archaeological studies had been done. We got notified by the Open Space Conservancy Agency that they have purchased the property. So the applicant has notified us, the Conservation Agency has also notified us. So no need for it to come back to Planning Commission.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Any other comments? Otherwise, we will adjourn, and it was a fantastic year, and I look forward to seeing everyone in January, and have a beautiful, happy, healthy holiday, everyone.
Yeah. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Take
Happy
care.
holidays.
Yeah, Merry
Holidays.
Christmas. Happy New Year.